Welcome to Keep Hustling, where we are going past the why to get to the how. I'm your host, the always hustling Aaron Gordon, aka NY Risk Advisor, aka Mr. Keep Hustling. In this podcast, we will be diving deep into the professional and personal successes of our guests to find out how they hustled through the most difficult times in their life and their development to achieve the success they've gotten to today. So buckle up for what hopes to be an amazing ride. Let's get to it. Welcome to Keep Hustling with my guest, J Reed Durand. Reed, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me on your show, Aaron. I appreciate it. It's a great show. Thank you for having me.
It's a privilege to have you. And before I get to a bit about where you're from, because I usually lead with that because I'm from New York, you are not the first veteran who's been on my show. And it is incumbent upon us, myself as the host, anyone who listens to this in the first 30 seconds or 45 seconds of this episode to express our gratitude to you. You're a better man than I am. I am grateful. My family is grateful. My children who don't know yet that they should be grateful or how grateful they should be to you are grateful. And my grandchildren that don't yet exist are grateful to you. And everyone should be. So thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for acknowledging the U.S. military, especially what we've been through the last 2 or 3 decades. It's, all the way back to Vietnam and before that. But thank you. It's appreciated that we have support in the community. And in my case, it was fun, actually. I enjoyed it. It was a great ride.
That may be true, but when you signed up for it, you weren't guaranteed that it was going to be fun. So let's put it that way. How's that?
Yes.
I asked you where you're from, as I ask everyone before we go live. I have a new thing that I think I'm going to put into the podcast. And I think I've mentioned this in the last couple episodes, but I think I want to put a map of with those pins of where all my guests are from because it's fascinating to me. And I feel privileged to. So we're just going to say you're from Hawaii because that's where you are now. And I don't have that yet on my board. So we're just going to go with it if that's okay with you.
Okay. Yeah. Passing through Hawaii. I've been around so many different places. But yeah, right now in Hawaii and don't know where we'll end up, in full retirement. But right now it's great to be in Hawaii.
So take us back. We're going to talk about leadership on this episode. We're going to talk about the work you're doing, your hustle, what makes it unique. I have a bunch of questions and the lessons you've learned. But take us back to the moment where you realized, A, what leadership was, and B, what it takes to be a leader, personally and professionally.
Yeah. So I joined the Army like so many. I was a 17-year-old, no skills, no family support, financial support, no clue what I wanted to do in life. I accepted I had to earn a living. I didn't know how. I just, 17 years old, you're not aware, quite naive. I did like so many do. I joined the military, joined the Army. And one of the things I learned immediately about Army life is you can't stay where you are. I mean, that's the huge takeaway of 40 years of change management. One of the first things I learned is a private E1. Well, you can be a good private E1, but you can't stay a private E1. You have to make private E2 and then private first class and on and on and on. So to do a full career, which is what I was after, I realized I had to get promoted. And the first few promotions are, time and grade, time and service. They're nearly automatic. But once I came up to sergeant, the first rank where you're a non-commissioned officer and you are put in charge of other soldiers, for me was the rank of sergeant. It was hard to compete for that. It was a competitive specialty. I had to earn promotion points. And once I finally pinned on the sergeant stripes, which to this day is my proudest moment of all the things I've done in 2 careers, my proudest day was the day I got promoted to sergeant. That's when leadership hit. Because now I went from being led. Up until then, the first 3 years, I was being led. People were telling me what to do. Things were prescribed for me to do. Now at sergeant, I'm in charge and things are implied. It's implied that as a leader, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to be held accountable for the things my team does or fails to do. and that's a hard hit. That's, as I mentioned in the book, you're in this circle of control or sphere of control where you can choose and you can take action, and so you have your thoughts, choices, and actions internally. But once you step out into leadership, now it's about influence. It's a whole different world. But I would say for you and all your listeners, taking that step into leadership opens up a world of opportunities. It's a hard step for many. A lot of people don't take that step. I would suggest if someone's thinking about it and just not sure they want to be a leader or not, take a very small, tiny step in the workplace leadership. Of course, if you're a parent, if you're an older sibling, if you're in school in some committees, or you already have that experience of influencing others. The big difference is in the military sense, a lot of other senses of leadership. The big difference is now you're accountable for the actions that others do or fail to do, and that's back on you. And you have to look deep within to accept that and grow from there.
I'll tell you what I find amazing about the way you're describing that. The military, and I'm going to just preface this by saying, please pardon my naivete. All my military knowledge comes from movies. So
Right.
the military is described or portrayed as a place where, again, this is going to sound terrible, so please don't hold me to what I'm about to say. Like prison, you're early on, every minute is accounted for by others. You have
Right.
no, you give up your right to self management when you enter basic training. And obviously that's by design and it has to be that way. What's
Right.
fascinating to me is it appears in the military that the people that excel the most at that and conforming to the what they're supposed to do and doing what they're supposed to do and putting their effort in and hustling through that are the ones that then become the leaders in the military, where as you describe, you get the stripes and all of a sudden it's flipped.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's almost, it seems almost in one day you go from zero choice to controlling the choice of others. And I imagine that's somewhat daunting. I imagine that a person in the beginning, when a person goes to basic training, it's probably a struggle or stressful or unnerving to give up that control to others. And now to take that back after time of, I don't want to say relaxing on that because obviously it's very difficult, but it's like turning that part of the brain off. I do what I'm told. I went to wake up when I'm told. I eat when I'm told. I become somewhat robotic to be successful. And now you have to become a leader. How does one make that switch?
The Army approach, and I, I've got 40 years of Army service total. So, in a way, it's good that I stuck with it that long. In a way, it's not good because I don't know much else outside the Army. But I would say from the Army way, and maybe more broadly, the Department of Defense, the attitude is if you're on active duty, you're given a choice to have a full career. So that's the carrot out there. That's the why. Why are you doing all this? Well, the why is because you want to, you have pride, you like the camaraderie, you want the 20-year career, you want the benefit. There's all kinds of whys out there. So that's why you're doing it. And the Army, from firsthand experience, is they deliberately move you along the leadership pipeline. This is not, you don't graduate from West Point this year and pin on general in 5 years. It's a long, long, long road ahead. And that's something you accept. At the same time, the Army is a great way of developing people, developing leaders, and providing training and experience and positions to incrementally move you along. So, one of the takeaways I have for you and your audience to kind of sum up everything, and especially in terms of leadership, there's the three C's. First, you need confidence. Confidence is you feel you can do it. Now, people have confidence because others are doing it. They feel, well, if they can do it, I can do it. It happens when you have siblings or friends in a neighborhood. You learn from others that if they're doing it, you can do it. So you have confidence. The second thing is capabilities. Are you trained for this? Do you have the skill set? Do you have the requisite experience to take on this role? Or, I'm about self-improvement, self-help, but in leadership in particular, we are provided leadership training. That's counseling. That's that face-to-face stuff. That's the hard stuff for a lot of people, myself included. Sitting down across the desk from someone and counseling them, performance management, disciplinary action. That's tough stuff. But you don't just walk into it blindly. You kind of are moved into it through training. And the Army's all about manuals and things. There's plenty of reference material. So you got confidence, you feel you can do it, you have capabilities, you demonstrate you have the skills and some requisite experience to do it. And then you have capacity. So the capacity is you can do it and sustain it. I'm really big about sustaining things, especially things like leadership, frontline leadership. It's about having the confidence that you can do it, having the capabilities that you can do it, but you need the capacity to sustain it because if you're one and done, that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that if you're out to achieve one big thing and get it over with. But in the case of leadership, if you want to go for years and decades, you need that capacity. And the capacity is the resources, the time, everything else you need to sustain your role. And, so what happens to a lot of people, they have the confidence, maybe they're overconfident. Their confidence exceeds their capabilities. That happens. People are overconfident. They take on a role. They fail at the role, not because they're bad people or they probably didn't think about it enough, and their confidence exceeds their capabilities. And that also happens with capacity. Maybe you have confidence, maybe you have the capabilities, but you don't have the capacity. Again, you're exceeding your capacity to sustain. So I think if you keep those three things in mind with leadership, with some big task you're taking on, some big goal in life you're pursuing. Remember the three C's as a starting point. There's much, much more to it. And I don't want to oversimplify things, but also not overcomplicate things. Look at it in terms in inward. The whole book on phase one is about looking inward, being self-aware, mastering yourself. And I would say start there. Your confidence, your capabilities, and your capacity to lead.
Dare I bring another C? First of all, that was fascinating.
Oh,
But
yeah,
dare I
yeah.
bring another C, which is the very
Yes.
foundation of keep hustling when you put all that together? And that is, doesn't a person have to have the courage to do it? Doesn't a person have to have the courage to make the self reflection and have the courage to actually follow their dreams and chase what they believe to be their truth?
Yes, definitely. Courage, so when you look at growth, you look at self-development, the Army way, again, it's not the only way, it is a way. And, by the way, this applies to a million people. When you look at the Army, we're talking active duty, we're talking Army National Guard, we're talking Army Reserve, we're talking about a million people are under this umbrella. So nothing new here. A lot of this is well documented. I look at it more as growth. Do you want to grow into something? Courage is a big part of that, but is your courage because of your confidence? If you lack confidence, you're not going to try new things, right? On one end of the spectrum, if you're not confident, you can ride the bicycle, you can swim, you can learn how to drive a car, you can go to college and get through a college program. If you're not confident that you can do that, you're not even going to try. So a big part of this process is do something that builds your confidence. Grow yourself. Look inward first. Do something where even if you're going to exercise, you're going to start a new exercise routine. If all that is walking around the block, and you walk around the block and you can say, "Hey, I did it. I'm confident I can walk around the block." And now you have that little bit of confidence. Now, does the courage start you from that or not. I don't know where the start is, but I would say build your confidence, and that builds your capabilities, and then that builds your capacity. And it's a circular thing. Just keep growing and growing and growing. Now, how do you get started? Do you get pushed into it? Do you have the courage to do it? Are you under peer pressure? There's all sorts of ways to look at what's that push to get you started. And courage is probably, for most people, what does get them making the choice to do something different.
I love that. You talk about discipline, realistic discipline. You talk about the power of discipline. And yet you also are a big believer in training oneself to change. As you say, and I love this line, the single most important lesson I've learned is this: don't get too comfortable, meaning that change
Right.
is inevitable.
Right.
How do you balance discipline and constant change and growth?
That it goes back to the three C's. My military experience as an enlisted guy, I was trained in a specialty, a specific specialty. That's my job. I was a tactical communications specialist, and after about my first 4 years in the Army obsoleted the equipment. I mean, I spent 4 years learning how to operate this stuff. I was good at it. I was highly proficient. I was tested on it. I was really good at being a tactical communication specialist, and I loved the job. Well, the Army obsoleted the equipment. And I did, then I started realizing, whoa, I spent a lot of time doing that. Now I got to learn something else. They put me in computer repair. I was a computer technician on a big, mini computer system. And I loved that job. I poured my heart into it. I learned it. I got good at it. But hey, guess what? 4 years into that job, the Army obsoleted that equipment. It went from mini computer systems to microcomputer systems. Then I went into computer programming. My best fit overall was being a computer programmer, but that was also the most change. I went from one language to another language to another language. In about 15 years, I went through 5 different programming languages, 5 different software development platforms. I learned through all of that you have to accept, in my case, that technology is going to change. Now, how do you stay relevant? Yeah, you could say motivated, disciplined, inspired. You can all of those things, but you have to have some measure of looking inward, regaining your confidence, and sticking with what's going on in the world because that's where you're relevant. And one of my favorite quotes goes back 2,500 years ago to Lao Tzu. It's about going with the flow of life. You don't want to resist change. There's this theory called Wu Wei, where Wu Wei is it's not non-action. A lot of people look at it as non-action or avoiding. It's not complacency. It's not ignoring the things. It's realizing here's the flow of life, and you can swim with the flow of life to the best of your ability, or fight it. If you fight it, I think you're gonna drown. You can't fight the flow of life. So all those changes I did. I guess discipline's a good word. I did it mostly for relevance. And here's my analogy. Okay, if you've ever sold a house or bought a house, let's say you're going to sell a house. You put your house on the market. You're going to ask yourself, well, what's my house worth? You have this idea number in your head. My house is worth $500,000, $700,000. You got some number in your head what your house is worth. You love your house, you know your house, all the things you did to improve your house. But here's what your house is worth: what someone else is willing to pay you for it. That's what it's worth. You can look online and do all this analysis, but your house is worth what someone is willing to pay you for it. And I saw that in the Washington, D.C. area a lot. I mean, the prices go up and then they stay there forever, and then they shoot up. They might go down. So, what someone is willing to pay me for my skill set was relevant today in today's market, today's world. And that's why I kept going from platform to platform to platform, not because I wanted to. I was really good at what I did and I liked doing what I did, but I couldn't stay there because it wasn't relevant to the marketplace.
I'm going to sidebar for a second. You've moved 24 times. You've been in 13 distinct duty locations, spanning 3 continents and 8 U.S. states. I gotta ask, what was your favorite place that you were in, stationed in, moved to?
Yeah, wow. So many places. I like Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the 18th Airborne Corps. That was my first duty station. Fayetteville, North Carolina. I grew up in Wisconsin on the shores of Lake Michigan. Fort Bragg was just a nice place, nice people.
So I just want to be clear. I'm interrupting. I just want to be clear. 3 continents, and you're choosing Fort Bragg, North Carolina. There's no knock on North Carolina, but come on.
Yeah, well,
Okay, fine.
I love the weather. I love the people. I love the standard of living there. It's close to the ocean. It's close to the mountains. It's just a nice place to live compared to like Washington, D.C. I would say for a career, where did I do the best as in terms of career growth and promotion? Definitely Washington, D.C. You're in that environment as an active duty soldier, as a army contractor, which I was, working private sector, as an army civilian, civil service. Washington D.C. is the place. I mean, there's millions of people around there, lots of opportunity, all kinds of growth potential. But I didn't like living there. It's the traffic, the high cost of living, everything. I just,
I'm from New
you
York. You're
know,
speaking my language now.
Oh, right, right. So, so in terms of career growth, absolutely Washington, D.C. In terms of where would I want to live and settle down and chill and enjoy retirement, one of my favorite places in the world is Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I mean,
We'll take it. I want to ask before we end. I believe that one of the biggest challenges we're facing in the United States and the world today with young people is a crisis in leadership, which we've discussed. But I think that it begins with those who don't take ownership. You say, and I'm going to quote this from your bio, that your core belief is simple. Lasting transformation begins with taking ownership of your own development. How can we inspire the next generation and those that are listening to this podcast today who are trying to figure out how to angle their hustle, what the next move is, how they can prepare themselves for the change, but also create that discipline? How can we inspire those who will be the next generation leaders to take ownership? Because I believe it all starts with that.
yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to answer a particular question for a particular person. I believe to each their own. Every single person, there's 195 countries, 8 billion people. Are there 8 billion individual self improvement plans? Yes, there should be. Every single person on earth should start by looking inward, look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, look at your opportunities, and look at your threats. And that's in the book, the SWOT, the SWOT. Start looking inward, realize where you're at, and from there, start growing your confidence and your capabilities and your capacity. Here's one real quick example. I was talking to a gentleman from Barbados. Barbados is a small island nation in the Caribbean, about 300,000 people, and he's doing well in Barbados. But I asked him, okay, what would life had been like if you had been born in your immediate family and with your extended family, everybody around you from birth till now, how would life have been different if you were just a little bit farther northwest and grew up in Puerto Rico, or a little bit further west, Dominican Republic, or further northwest, Haiti, or further northwest, Cuba. All those islands are really clustered in the Caribbean, but there's a major, major difference between Barbados and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and Haiti and Cuba. Wherever you are, if you're in Cuba, if you're in Haiti, if you're in Dominican Republic, you have to accept that's where you are. That's not where you're going to end up. Look at not where you would rather be so much. Look where you are and work yourself toward pursuing the goals you want to pursue, given who you are and where you are. Take responsibility, take accountability. Don't blame others for your predicament. Maybe someone did you wrong, but that's life. That's yesterday, right? That's history. You can't change where you were born. You can't change some of the things that happened to you growing up. Look at the opportunities and the threats and take advantage of the opportunity that's there wherever you are, and grow and continue to grow, and don't burn yourself out. Don't let your confidence exceed your capabilities. Stay with a plan and grow. And the years and decades go by, and I wish you all the best with your growth. And I got the framework. Hopefully in the book, people will look at that as a framework, not specifically what to do, but a framework for you to fill in your details to help you get where you want to go.
And we're going to link in the show notes the information on the Train to Change series that you have put out or are putting out. Again, I have to say before we go to the close, thank you again for your service. Thank you for your decades of dedication so that people like me can live the overprivileged, comfortable life that we live while you lived in 25 assignments, 24 moves, et cetera. We really genuinely do appreciate it and could not express our thanks enough.
Thank you.
We have a closing tradition on this podcast, as you know, where we ask our guests to leave us with their favorite motivational or inspirational quote. As I said before we went live, I know this one's going to be good. So, Mr. Durand, I say, let us know what your favorite motivational, inspirational quote is, what it means to you and to your hustle. And again, I say thank you for being here.
Okay, so to fit into your theme, it's not about, get past the why and get to the how. My how is to accept that you can train yourself to change. And the quote is, you've heard this before, we don't rise to the level of our aspirations, we fall to the level of our training. You can train yourself to change, but if you don't do the training, you're not going to succeed at it. So remember, you're not going to rise to your aspirations. You're going to fall to your level of training, and that's why you should train.
Absolutely love it. Thank you again for being here. This has been another episode of Keep Hustling. Remember, do well by doing good. And of course, and always, keep hustling. All right, hustlers, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you for listening. The listeners are the most important part of this show. If you like what you heard, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more listeners. Plus, be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. We have some amazing guests and topics lined up for you, and we don't want you to miss out. And finally, if you have any suggestions, comments, or even just want to say hello, please feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms. We are Keep Hustling Pod on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We would love to hear from you to continue the conversation. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting our podcast. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, stay curious, stay hungry, and keep hustling.